Hello everybody, I am K. Shailaja Rao, a soft skill trainer at Aditya Global Business School, Surampalam. Today, I would like to give you a few suggestions, a few tips on how to crack that telephonic interview. So, a telephonic interview sounds very simple, but it is not as easy as it sounds. A face-to-face interview has so many advantages. That is, your attire, your body language can be seen, your confidence can be seen. But in a telephonic interview, all these things are absent. So, you have to be extra smart to crack that telephonic interview. So, today let us look at a few tips on how to crack that telephonic interview and get a personal interview and then get the job. So, first, create a checklist. Just as you would for a face-to-face interview, having a checklist ready for a telephonic interview is also important. That is, have a checklist at the things you need for the telephonic interview. Research the company, have a note ready with the company details, research the job description, have all the qualities that are required in the job description handy, have your resume handy, find a quiet place, have a good telephone. Here, a good telephone does not mean having an expensive phone. It means having a phone with a full battery and overnight charged battery. Use the phone only for the interviews on the day of the interview. Cut out on those calls to friends, SMSs, so that you are having a ready phone to answer. The first important thing for any interview is your resume, and same goes for a telephonic interview. You have to have your resume handy, because generally the first question in any interview is, please walk me through your resume. At those times, it's good to have your resume handy, and even for questions like what are your skills, generally you have pointed out a few skills in your resume, so you can just have a look at them and then confidently answer. So, your resume being handy is an advantage for you and the other person does not know it. So, you have to have your resume handy. Another very important thing, apart from having a fully charged phone, is finding a quiet place to take that interview. Don't assume that you can take the interview anywhere. Having a quiet place or a quiet room is very essential, because you do not want any other distractions. In case you do not have a room to yourself, see that at the time of the interview you do not have small kids around, pets around, or any other distractions like the TV or the radio sounding in the background. So, keep the distractions to the minimum, or I would say avoid them altogether. One important thing and an advantage in a telephone interview is you can take down notes. So, taking down notes is a very important aspect here. You should take down or write down the questions you were asked, the replies you gave, and other important things. Take these notes handy, because if you get the next call or you go towards the next step, you always know what you were asked in the first interview, and it could be a continuation from there. Or if you were not selected, you still have the notes handy to show you where you went wrong, where you made the mistakes. So, taking down notes is an important aspect of a telephonic interview. So, keep a pen and paper handy along with your resume. Then, I was talking about having a telephone with a fully charged battery, but if you know the time of the interview, say from morning 9 to 12, generally they give you an approximate time. See that during that time you are not talking to anyone, SMSing, watching WhatsApp videos, and please turn off that call waiting, because if you are going through an interview and you are getting a call in the background, it is a huge distraction. So, turn off that call waiting option. And you may think that this is not important, that the posture is not really necessary to work on, but sitting down in the correct posture is as important in a face-to-face interview as it is in a telephonic interview. Do not take a call lying down, slouching on your sofa, or bending over, or any such things. Sit straight, sit at probably at a study desk, or sit in a straight back chair, generally in a posture like this, and then take the interview. If you have a laptop, you can have your resume in front of you in the laptop and speak from there. But sitting down also matters, because when you speak, it's your body language or your posture also makes a difference. If you feel confident, you sound confident. So sitting down, better sit down rather than stand up. It makes you more comfortable and you'll be able to hang in there for a long interview. And don't forget to smile. This is something many of us neglect, because a smile, you may think that it does not matter if you're smiling on the other end of the line, but a smile does carry over telephone lines. I'm sure you can tell when a person is smiling and answering, and when a person is very serious while answering the phone. When you're serious, you sound very insecure or not so confident. So smile, feel confident, and this confidence and smile carries over on telephone lines also. Believe me, it does. So smile while you're taking the call, and be sure to sound enthusiastic and energetic. Confirm the phone interview. Always have your phone interview date, time, all these confirmed beforehand. Don't assume that you will get a call. Confirm who will be calling you, what time will they be calling you. If you can get the name of the person or the designation of the person, that's much better, because you can answer them with hello, good morning, thank you sir, or you can good morning, whatever their name is, good morning Mr. Kumar. You can answer like that. So if you know all this, always it's better. Right? Okay. So how can I impress the interviewer? This is an important thing, because all of us are trying to impress the recruiter, the interviewer. So the first thing you should remember is take down notes while taking the interview. Be calm. Keep yourself calm and ready. You would be calm if you had everything handy, if you had prepared a checklist and put all ticks across the things you have to do. You would be calm if you know the topic, if you know the job you are applying for, if you have researched the company. So you would sound confident and calm. So do all these things and be calm. When you're getting that call, take a few deep breaths before you answer that call. Smile, stand up or sit up straight, and I'm sure you'll feel a lot calmer than when you start. And then make sure you need no break during the call. Don't try to ask for a break, or don't break the call, because that gives a very wrong impression to the recruiter. So keep a glass of water handy, take a sip if you need to, that is if you especially need to, or else it's not advisable, but keep water also handy. Okay, when do I take the call? I have been expecting this call since morning from 9, and I just got the call. So do I pick it up immediately? Wait for 2 or 3 rings before you answer the call. Don't let it ring for a long time. Wait for 2 or 3 rings and go to the room that you have been assigned for this interview. Go to the place where it is quieter and then answer the call. And then answer enthusiastically. Your enthusiasm carries over the phone. Saying good morning or good morning sir sounds so much better, doesn't it? So good morning, good afternoon, greet him appropriately. Don't ask selfish questions, even when the interviewer asks you. This is towards the end actually, but even when the interviewer asks you for some questions, do you have any questions? Do not ask selfish questions like what would be my CTC, Or is there a cab available for the job? Is a cab provided to us? Or do we have holidays for this? Don't ask questions like this, because this is your first round of interviews. If you get to a face-to-face interview, then maybe even then you have to approach these questions very cautiously. So don't ask questions that are selfish, that only relate to you. Wait for the following interviews and have questions to ask at the end. When you research the company, see that you write down a few questions that you would like to ask them, not just for the sake of asking, saying how many branches do you have or something like that, when you already have the information on the net, but questions like, I have looked at your site and I have noted the CSR activities that you people do, and I am very impressed with it, sir. So I would like to speak a little more on that, or something like this. So take a point out of their website and speak in detail about those points. And another important thing is, as we all know that we are waiting for that call, we are ready to speak and we just get into it. Please don't do so. Listen carefully, listen what the interviewer is asking us, because listening is very important. Don't make him repeat the question. Some of the people may speak very softly, so have your full volume on. If you have speakers, it's much better. Put your headphone speakers on and answer. So listen carefully, and even while answering, you can take a few seconds, that is 3 to 5 seconds before you answer, but don't leave too much dead air. Dead air, I mean, is too much gap between the question and the answer. And also, speak clearly, speak with clarity, speak with good speed, speak at a good tone of voice and the volume. Do not be do not shout. At the same time, do not be very low, because if you're too low in your voice, you come across as not being confident. So maintain a good volume level and show your energy in your voice. Okay, this is an important thing. So what do we mean by professionally? Professionally is you are going to join a company. So you have to be professional when you answer the phone. That is, get your greetings right. You can say, good morning, I'm Krishna Kumar speaking. That should be good enough. If you know, always greet first, say good morning and introduce yourself. If you know the other person's name, you can say, I was waiting for this call, Mr. So and so, or you can say, good morning, Krishna Kumar speaking, I'm Krishna Kumar speaking, and I have been waiting for this call since morning, sir. Okay, that shows your enthusiasm. Or you can say, hello, you may start with a hello. Hello, I'm Krishna Kumar speaking, sir. Good morning and nice to talk to you, sir. So greet enthusiastically. So that is very important. You know, your enthusiasm should be shown in your voice, your animation, animated in the sense that you should be full of energy and enthusiasm. And be polite, because the person on the other side is not your friend, he is not an acquaintance. So you have to be extremely polite. If you are asking for a repetition of a question, say please, say thank you at the end of the interview. Say excuse me if you have misspelled something or said something wrongly, you can always excuse yourself. So say these things. You can say, I am Krishna Kumar speaking, and that should do the trick. Or you can say things like, I have been waiting for your call, or at the end of the call you can say, have a nice day, sir, ma'am, accordingly. And these things do matter a lot in a telephonic interview. So please make sure you do all these things. So another important thing is answer the phone yourself. When you're expecting a phone call, don't expect somebody else to pick up the phone for you and hand it over to you. So answer the telephone yourself, listen carefully to the interviewer like I was telling you before, and wait till the interviewer finishes his question. We already have assumed that these are the questions they are going to ask me. Generally the first question will be, tell me about yourself, just don't get into the rut. So maybe the recruiter has a new question for you. So give it time, listen carefully and then start answering the question. So now let's look at the probable telephonic interview questions. First let me tell you, there is no difference between a face-to-face interview and a telephonic interview when it comes to questions. But there are a few that are typical only to telephonic interviews. So let's look at the probable. I probably will deal with 10 to 15 questions that are generally asked in a telephonic interview. So but treat this as a face-to-face interview. The first question is generally, tell me about yourself, or give me a brief description about your background, or give details about yourself. So this is generally an ice-breaking question, that he wants to know your communication skills, your confidence. So smile and show enthusiasm while answering this first question. Generally it's the first few seconds which decide whether you're being selected or not. So it's not what you say, but how you say it that matters. So even on the telephone he cannot see you in person. So what he has to depend on is your voice. See that it is full of enthusiasm and smile and confidence. So when you say tell me about yourself, you are practically speaking about your strengths, your skills, your achievements and all about yourself. It is not a question to talk a lot about your family or your background. What is needed is your educational background and any recent experience if you have any. So that is what is most wanted in a question like tell me about yourself. And if you have some highlights like winning a quiz program somewhere, start with that. So there is no prescribed format that in a tell me about yourself you have to answer it in this order like a resume. You can start with your most important strength or skill or achievement. You can say, last year I won the Tata Crucible quiz, and go on from there. So start with anything, but start with a lot of enthusiasm. And then, no, the previous one. So the next question could be, why should we hire you? This question has a lot to do with whether you have seen the website, whether you have seen the job notification. Look at the job notification, look at the job description. What are the skills, strengths that are being asked for? Match them with yours and tell that you are best suited for this role because you possess those strengths and skills and abilities that are wanted by the company. So these are the reasons why you should hire me, because I have the skills you need and I am the best match for it, and say it with confidence. And some more questions could be, what are your strengths? This is a very important question, and this is generally in your resume. You have a list of your strengths or core competencies, or even in your achievement sections you have your strengths. So make sure that you point out at least 3 to 5 strengths, but don't go on counting a list of strengths like 10 strengths saying these are my strengths. It sounds very not professional. So list out 3 to 5 strengths, but for each strength give an example. If you say that organizing is your strength, organizing in detail is your strength, then tell him or her how you have organized a college event, or how you have organized a club event, and how you have led that team and completed it successfully. That goes to show that you do have that strength in that area. So strength should be answered like that. Generally, okay, weaknesses is somewhere here, but I'll talk about that now. What are your weaknesses? Generally, when you're asked about your strengths, do not come up with the term weakness anywhere. Unless you're asked for, do not raise the term weakness. But if you're asked, showcase one of your weakness, because no person is without a weakness. So don't say I don't have any weaknesses. You're not Superman or Spider-Man. So we do have weaknesses. Everybody has a weakness. But see that the weakness is in nowhere contrast to the skills needed for that job. If you say that one of my weaknesses is that I cannot cook, or I cannot sit idle for too long, something, these things are immaterial to the employer. These sort of weaknesses do not matter in the job. So, these sort of weaknesses you can talk about, or even if you have some weakness, procrastination is my weakness. Generally it is not a good idea, but if you want to say, but I am working on it. So, nowadays I look at deadlines and finish my work one day in advance or a few hours in advance. So, I am working on these things. So, always speak about one weakness which you are trying to overcome or have already overcome, or something that does not relate to the job. Where do you see yourself in 5 years? This is another important question, because the recruiter is trying to see whether you will stay with him or you are going to join for a year, stay for a year and then leave to join some other company. So, answer this very smartly. Say that you would like to grow in the company, you would like to look forward to your career in the company. Do not answer this question by saying that I would like to be in your job. Do not appear like a threat to the person sitting in front of you. So, always talk about a career ahead where you would like to see. If it is a sales executive, then you could say that I would like to take on more responsibilities in the coming years and probably be an area head in the sales section or something like that. So, look at your career growth when you are asked about 5 years from now. And then, what motivates you? This is an important question because this tests your attitude. What the person is looking at is not what or who motivates you, but whether you are open to learning. So, what motivates you? So, that sort of a question should be handled very well. You can tell about a person who motivates you, or some of the things that motivate you, but always show your positive side when you talk about your motivations. And okay, why do you want to work here? This is another important question, because whichever the company, always the company or the interviewer likes to hear good about his company. So, why do you want to work here? Do some research on the company, pick out some good points about the company that impress you. It could be their work culture, it could be their CSR activities, it could be their education that they are providing to freshers. When they do the job, they are giving allowances for studying. So, all these things could be things that impress you. So, when you are asked the question, why do you want to work here? You can talk about these. So, act naturally, feel the enthusiasm and answer this question about why you really want to work for that company. Why are you applying for this position? Again, here what is important is you have to have a full idea on the position you are applying for. So, match your skills and strengths to the job that you are applying for, look at the job description and see that these two match. So, that is why you can say why you are applying for that position, because you have the strengths, skills, education, background and experience necessary to match that job. That is why you are applying for that position, and also it could be because of the company, it could be because of the job. So, you can answer this question in any way. And then on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rank yourself in a particular area? This is also an important question, because that particular area that he is speaking about could be an important area for the job. So, if you are asked a question like that, particularly in the HR or finance, or in digital marketing. So, see that you have some grip on that area, on that subject you are applying for. So, that area, speak at length about that area, your experience in that area, your knowledge about that area. This could be an important area for the job. So, with this I think we will look, we have almost covered some important points. There are a lot more questions you could be asked. So, be prepared for any question, just be prepared as you would prepare for a face-to-face interview. And then there are some things that are beyond us. What if the interview call does not come? What do I do then? I have been slated for this interview from 9 to 12, but I did not get the call. So, do not stress out. Do not panic. Always leave a message. If you try and get the number from your whoever the head is, try to get the number, leave a message saying I'm so and so, I was expecting a call but I could not get the call. Or you can even, if you have an email ID, send an email that shows your interest in that position. So feel free to send an email or send a message if you do not get a call. And then what happens if you miss the call? In spite of being ready for the past 2 days, at the time of the call, maybe you just went out for a minute and that's when you missed the call. So make sure you call back immediately as soon as possible to the number you received the call from and apologize very quickly and briefly why you could not take the call. Be honest about it and then reschedule the interview. Generally, if you miss a call, what happens is you could be pushed down to be the last person to be called again. That would be a very sad thing to happen. So try not to miss the call, but even if you do, see that you call back, apologize quickly and then take the call from there on. So now, since we've covered all the things, let's look at things to avoid if you want to nail that interview. So like we said, never take the interview where it is noisy, find a quiet place, don't talk about your personal life. Tell me about yourself. He does not want to know about your personal life. He does not want to know whether you like jalebi or samosa. What he wants to know is how well you can handle your professional life. What are the skills that you have to get into the professional life. So professional career. So speak about your academics, if you are a fresher, about your academics and the little experience you have had. Experience, I mean, you have done projects, you could have done surveys, you could have done an internship. So speak about these things when you talk about yourself. When you speak about yourself, that 1 minute or 1.5 minutes is exactly your window of opportunity. So make the best use of that. Resist the urge to multitask. Don't try doing, I know you people are very smart out there, you can do 2 things at once. You have seen people texting and speaking on the phone and writing something, but please do not do it while taking an interview. Do not multitask, just concentrate only on the phone call that you are answering. Skip the money conversation. Like I said, don't ask selfish questions about what is the pay scale or what is the CTC or so don't raise any topics about money, and in case the recruiter or the interviewer asks me what salary do you expect, always say that I would expect whatever is in this scale that the company is offering, that is good for me. If you are a fresher, as I am a fresher, I am happy with what you are offering me, because what I am looking at is experience and working for your company rather than anything else. Leave the money talk till the very end. Even if you are an experienced person, leave the money talk till the last interview, face-to-face interview. Never speak about money on the phone. Never put your interviewer on hold. Like I said, don't miss the call, don't answer the call in a noisy place, and never put them on hold. Putting them on hold is like you don't care about the call, so you are immediately negated for that slot. And never skip the question and answer. That is, if you are asked to ask a question, if you are say, do you have any questions for us? Please prepare 1 or 2 questions that you would like to ask the interviewer. Don't be late. Here, don't be late in the sense that don't be late in picking up the phone. Don't be late in answering promptly. So these things you have to be very careful about. And don't assume that a reception is good. Always check. When we started, we talked about having a good phone, having a good battery. But today also you have to make sure that you have proper signal. Sit in a place, if you are in a remote area, stay in a place where the signals are very good, and then take the call from there. Okay, how to close the interview. Now we have talked about how to attend the interview, how to take the call, now how to close the interview. So this is an area where we have to make sure. First thing is, if you have received a call from the company, you don't cut the call. It is not your prerogative. the person on the other end has to end the call. So, it is not your choice, so do not cut the call. And then don't panic when ask questions, when you are asked, so do you want to say anything? Sometimes they may not ask you whether you have any questions for us. They might say, okay, do you want to say something? Then that's the time for you to ask questions. Ask question, remind them in the end, towards the end, remind them that you're passionate about the role, that you really want the job, and then ask them also if they would like more information about you. End on a very polite note, end on a note saying thank you. If you want to ask about the next round of interviews also, you can ask. You can politely ask what is this next step forward after this telephonic interview. If they ask you for when you would be convenient, you can always say I will dwell on this and call you back, sir, or send you an email, sir, if you are not really prepared for an answer. But don't just say anything that comes to mind and don't stick with and not be able to stick to that. So, try to be truthful and answer correctly. And always close by saying thank you. You can add by saying have a nice day, sir, or have a nice day, ma'am. Don't get too friendly. Ma'am, sir is very important in the Indian culture. Unless they ask you to call them by their first name, sir and ma'am is very professional. If they ask you to call them by their first name, you can do so. If you are not comfortable, you can still continue with sir. There is nothing wrong with that. Always say thank you in the end, and always end it with a have a nice day, because the ending is as important as the beginning. You leave your impression in the end. So, make sure your important things, you remind them of your skills once again, and then say thank you, ask a very good question and end by saying have a nice day or thank you for your time, and I am expecting a call from you. These could be all parting lines. Thank you very much. I hope all these tips will help you in cracking that telephonic interview. Good luck and see you again.